This is President Joe Biden. On July 9th, 2021, Biden held a press conference where reporters asked him about the possibility that Afghanistan could be taken over by the Taliban.
Is a Taliban takeover of Afghanistan now inevitable?
No, it is not. Why? Because you have the Afghan troops have 300,000 well-equipped as any army in the world, and an air force against something like 75,000 Taliban. It is not inevitable.
But to everyone else, it sure seemed inevitable, because since mid-April, the Taliban, along with fighters from Al-Qaeda and ISIS, had been systematically taking over provinces in Afghanistan.
Mr. President, thank you very much. Your own intelligence community has assessed that the Afghan government will likely collapse.
That is not true.
Can you please clarify what they have told you about whether that will happen or not?
That is not true. They did not reach that conclusion.
Except they did reach that conclusion. Back in June, the Wall Street Journal reported that US intelligence agencies were saying that it could happen as soon as 6 months after the withdrawal of the US military. So while Biden was publicly saying that the Afghan government was in good shape, privately, it was a different story. According to Reuters, who published excerpts of a July 23rd phone call with President Ghani, Joe Biden was not so positive in his assessment. I have been meeting with our Pentagon folks and our national security people, as you have with ours and yours. And as you know, and I need not tell you, the perception around the world and in parts of Afghanistan, I believe, is that things aren't going well in terms of the fight against the Taliban. Then goes on to say, and there's a need, whether it is true or not, there is a need to project a different picture. So Biden told Ghani that there was a need to project a different picture, whether it was true or not that the fight against the Taliban was not going well. In other words, Joe Biden told President Ghani to lie. On the day of the call, the day he told the president of Afghanistan to lie, the Taliban were in control of more than half of Afghanistan's districts. So during the July 23rd phone call, Biden also told President Ghani, "You clearly have the best military. You have 300,000 well-armed forces versus 70 to 80,000, and they're clearly capable of fighting well. We will continue to provide close air support if we know what the plan is and what we are doing." And all the way through the end of August, and who knows what after that. So Biden was promising that the United States would continue to provide air support through the end of August and possibly beyond. And that air support was vital to the Afghan military's success. An August 14th article in the Wall Street Journal points out that the Afghan army fighting alongside American troops was molded to match the way the Americans operate. The US military, the world's most advanced, relies heavily on combining ground operations with air power, using aircraft to resupply outposts, strike targets, ferry the wounded, and collect reconnaissance and intelligence. So basically, the Afghan army was successful in keeping the Taliban at bay because of the symbiotic relationship they had with the American military.
We gave them every tool they could need, provided for the maintenance of their air force, something the Taliban doesn't have. Taliban does not have an air force. We provided close air support.
And that's provided, past tense, because Biden had basically ended that support months prior. In the wake of President Biden's withdrawal decision, the US pulled its air support, intelligence, and contractors servicing Afghanistan's planes and helicopters. That meant the Afghan military simply couldn't operate anymore. And this had been a foregone conclusion. In January 2021, the Pentagon concluded that no Afghan aircraft could be sustained as combat effective for more than a few months in the absence of contractor support. And in April, General McKenzie, the head of the Pentagon Central Command that oversees Afghanistan, raised this concern in a Senate Armed Forces Committee hearing.
I am concerned about the ability of the Afghan military to hold on after we leave, the ability of the Afghan Air Force to fly in particular after we remove the support for those aircraft. All of those things are factors that will be worked out here in the next few months, and we'll get an opportunity to see how the Afghans do.
So in May, we started pulling more than 6,100 American contractors and 6,400 contractors from other countries. So Biden pulled back our air support and military contractors and hampered the Afghan forces' ability to properly wage battle. But then he has the audacity to claim that the army crumbled because they wouldn't fight and that they were cowards.
Here's what I believe to my core. It is wrong to order American troops to step up when Afghanistan's own armed forces would not.
Would not or could not. Because again, without our US and allied air support, and without contractors to help maintain their fleet, the Afghan army was basically f***ed.
We gave them every chance to determine their own future. We could not provide them was the will to fight for that future.
And saying that the Afghan forces wouldn't fight is a lie. According to the Brookings Institute, from 2014 to 2020, Afghan National Army and National Police casualties totaled an estimated 45,000. And all the while, the Afghan National Security Forces were fighting alongside American and allied troops. But instead of showing them respect and honor, Biden pulled the rug out from under them and then proceeds to call them cowards to fit his narrative. So much for that world-famous Joe Biden empathy, huh? And that brings us to the release of the phone call excerpts where Resident Biden told President Ghani to lie and publicly change the perception of how the fight against the Taliban was going. And White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki was asked about it.
One on Afghanistan, there's some reporting that we'd like to confirm regarding a call in July, between President Biden and former Afghanistan President Ghani. One, that both leaders appeared completely unaware that the Taliban would take over, and secondly, that they discussed plans to project that Afghan forces were still in control. Is that accurate? Can you tell us a little bit more about that call?
Well, I'm not going to get into private diplomatic conversations or leaked transcripts of phone calls.
But when it came to the leaked details of a diplomatic conversation between President Trump and the president of Ukraine, Jen Psaki couldn't get enough of it. It's not just a call transcript. The whistleblower complaint would likely have more details. We need both, and not just the call. Hypocrite much?
Was the president in any way pushing a false narrative in that call with the Afghan president?
I think it's pretty clear. Again, I'm not going to go into details of a private conversation.
Look, Jen Psaki isn't going to go into the details of a leaked private conversation involving Biden, so stop asking. In fact, you're not even allowed to ask Biden about Afghanistan in general unless he wants to talk about it. And trust me, he doesn't want to talk about it.
I'm not supposed to take any questions, but go ahead.
Mr. President, on Afghanistan?
I'm not going to answer Afghanistan now. Okay.
First, the press should be allowed to ask about Ghanistan because of how he started off his remarks.
Yeah, Jill and I are just getting back from Dover Air Force Base up in my home state, where we met with the families of 13 fallen heroes in Afghanistan.
But then when he's asked about it a whole 4 minutes later, he's like, nope, and then slams his hand down on the podium like a child.
I'm not going to answer Ghanistan now. Okay.
And speaking of Biden's trip to Dover Air Force Base during the dignified transfer event, watch this thing that happened. And when you view the video, you can tell that Biden knows that he probably shouldn't be checking his watch, because he did it in a way to try and make it less obvious that he was looking at it. I should point out that people also tend to look at their watch when they're impatient and want something to be over with. And this enraged a lot of people, including Derek Utley, who posted this image on his Facebook page with the caption, "A picture is worth 1,000 words," showing the juxtaposition between Trump and Biden in the same situation. And that's when USA Today stepped in with a fact check, stating that Biden checked his watch, but only after the ceremony. First of all, that's a lie. When Biden checked his watch, the ceremony was nearing the end, but it was definitely not over yet. I mean, does it look like it's over? They're still standing there, because the ceremony is still taking place. But the claim that he checked his watch instead of honoring the fallen service members is wrong. But that's not what this image or the caption is saying. It's dishonest. So with that, USA Today's fact check rated this image partly false, claiming the pictures are real, but they don't accurately summarize the two events, and that Biden checked his watch, but he did so after the ceremony had ended. Now, there are several problems with this fact check. First of all, they are fact checking a Facebook post when they should be fact checking the claim that Biden looked at his watch during the ceremony, which he clearly did. Second, the author, Daniel Funk, tweeted, "New fact check. A viral photo makes it look like President Biden checked his watch during a ceremony honoring US service members killed in Kabul. But that's misleading." Misleading? You know what's misleading? The fact checker not using a photo of Biden checking his watch as the featured image in the article. Because otherwise, people would see the picture and question the fact checker's honesty. But thankfully, they did anyway. It was pointed out that there was photographic time-stamped evidence that Biden had checked his watch multiple times, including here at 12:51 p.m., here at 1:01 p.m., and the one that was caught on video that occurred at 1:20 p.m. And not only that, but several Gold Star parents, including Darren Hoover, had the same observation.
It happened on every single one of them. They would release the salute, and he looked down at his watch on every last one, all 13.
So in light of this new evidence, USA Today updated the article. So fact check true, right? Nope. The rating actually changed from partly false to missing context. And then Daniel Funk had the nerve to tweet, "As many of you already know, this story has been corrected. Biden checked his watch multiple times during the ceremony. I regret the error." No, he doesn't. Otherwise, he would have changed the rating to true. And instead of taking the L and moving on, he decided to play the victim. It's easy to dunk on journalists when we get things wrong. I get it. To many, we're just another name on a screen. But behind that screen is a person trying to do their best. Well, if that's Daniel Funk's best journalism, I don't want to see his worst. And with that, thanks for watching, sharing, and slamming that like button. Be sure to check out these videos that you may have missed, and be sure that you're still subscribed to the channel. As always, I hope to see you next time. If there is a next time.